Hey, all. First off, thank you so much for all of your hard work so far. I have really, really missed being with you all and working our way through the beginning of a streetcar named Desire. So I really appreciate all your efforts so far. I also appreciate those of you who are bold enough to post your Stella yelling video. Um, pretty good stuff. Not quite the same as us going into the auditorium and totally letting some primal yells go, but still some really good things going on there. So thank you for that. I want to take a few moments just to talk about scenes 3 and 4. Kind of the thinking about that yell. I intentionally use that word primal, like that primal yell that we would give. Um, I use that intentionally though, because I think that's something that really gets established in scenes 3 and 4 here. As far as what Tennessee Williams is trying to set up for us in terms of who Stanley is. And really kind of also the relationship between Stanley and Stella being this very primal thing, right? Um, that that yell even is described with like animal noises. Like it almost seems like it's just this really base level between them. And I think that's just a really interesting kind of dynamic that Tennessee Williams is setting up for us. The big thing though that we're getting is Stanley's cruelty is kind of getting established here. We started early on in scene one, even kind of taking a look at some interesting stage directions, and some of you saying, I'm getting some bad vibes from him. Scene two, then coming with his invasion of Blanche's privacy and how aggressive he can be. Here, right, like we see a cruel abuse of Stanley towards Stella. And then in scene four, well, end of scene three into scene four, we see Stella kind of forgive him for that. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But I think the cruelty of Stanley is something that's really getting established early on. And Blanche certainly seems to be the one who has Stella's best interest in mind more than Stanley. But as sympathy starts to get established for Blanche, I still don't know if she comes across as the hero. And we'll talk more about that too, as you keep going, because as soon as you start to be won over by one character, Tennessee Williams kind of pulls the rug out from under you a little bit. But, I do think that we start to see Blanche trying to protect Stella from Stanley. But we see in scene four that really Stella doesn't have much interest to that. And I think that that's an interesting thing for us to take a quick moment to talk about. If you look back at scene four, you'll notice that the description of Stella is almost like she's in like a trance. Like she's under narcotics. It says narcotized trance, I think is how they describe her face. And she's just like laying there serenely. The sun's coming in. Her stomach is rounding with maternity. This reminder that she has a very physical connection to Stanley, and she is totally at peace. She totally tries to explain away, oh, he was just drunk, oh, this, oh, that. And Blanche is like, are you insane that this is the world that you are living in and the world that you are choosing to live in? And I think it's that one that is so tough for Blanche to wrap her mind around. And it leads into that great monologue that you've started to analyze in scene four that Stanley overhears. At the end of the day, Blanche is horrified. Stella finds all of this thrilling. And really what I think this kind of comes down to is how they end up thinking through the rightness or wrongness of each of their choices. I think one other quick thing that I want to take a quick look at here as I'm kind of scrolling back through. I want to take a quick look back at a character that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet. There's someone that Blanche brings up named Shep Huntley. This guy that she apparently used to date, and says this guy can help us. Like she rambles kind of about money, about Shep Huntley, and like Shep Huntley can get us set up. He can get us out of this. And Stella says, I'm not in anything that I want to get out of. Like, I think this is great. This is fine. Don't overlook the fact that Stella is literally and symbolically cleaning up after Stanley in scene four. Blanche is like trying to clean. Stella is like literally and symbolically like brushing things under the rug. Because she just wants this to go away, and she wants Blanche to feel like this isn't a big deal, and, oh, Stanley's really sorry, and this will never happen again. Even though, quick little reminder, you hear Eunice yell, "I'm going to turn the hose on. I hope they turn the hose on you just like they did the last time." This is not the first time. Don't let Stanley or Stella try and explain this away as some one-time thing. And for the record, if it was a one-time thing, that's still bad. But this is also a pattern. We get a couple clues that this is a pattern. And so now all of a sudden we start to see this divide, right, of Stanley and Blanche on opposite ends of the spectrum in kind of a battle for Stella's love and who she's going to end up siding with. So even though I think Blanche and Stanley have some similar characteristics, they are starting to be on opposite ends and to pull in those opposite directions. One final character that you want to take a quick look at is Mitch. You're going to look at Mitch more next week, but take a look at Mitch. We meet him really for the first time in scene 3, and you can tell that he has some interest in Blanche, and Blanche seems to have some interest in him. But for all of Blanche's good traits, you've also brought up that she can be a little bit sketchy too. Notice that she kind of lies about her age. Notice that she doesn't really want to be seen under bright lights where maybe her age could be seen. She says, "Oh, put a paper lantern over that. Oh, do this, oh, do that." And so keep an eye on that dynamic. He is certainly very interested in her. She seems interested in him. Even though he doesn't seem to be like super suave, he seems like a really nice guy. And I think that that's interesting too, to put Stanley and Mitch next to each other. They're foils for one another. So put them next to each other. That'll highlight their differences. Just some things to watch for. But as I close this out, final thing, as of right now, chances are you don't have a great feeling about Stanley. Chances are you don't have a great feeling about Stella for explaining this away, but there's that level of hope of like, could she and Blanche do something? Could Blanche end up winning this over? But again, as we brought up, Blanche has her own flaws, and you're going to discover those this week. And so I'm excited to have you do that later on in the week. As far as your work for today and tomorrow, since these are 1 through 6 days, I'm going to be doing a little bit of work with 10 traits of a successful dramatist. And these are 10 traits that you can find in just about any play. So they're not specific to Tennessee Williams or specific to A Streetcar Named Desire. What I'm going to ask you to do is to choose one of these traits and say, okay, I see how Tennessee Williams embodies this trait or is utilizing this trait in the play. In truth, by the end of the play, we should be able to identify all 10 traits at play, and we will do some work to do that. But I don't want to ask you to do that now. I'm going to ask you to choose one trait and do a deep dive into it today by finding some evidence, and Wednesday by doing some writing on it. Your other option is, if you would like to work with a partner, you may do that as well. If you do that, though, you need to choose 2 traits and find evidence for both of those. So again, 1 trait per person. If you want to work independently, you're just focused on one of those traits, whichever trait you go, yep, I see that at work in this play. Or if you want to work in pairs, that works for me too, but you need to find 2 traits that you feel are at work in this play. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Today's your day to find textual evidence. Wednesday's your day to do a little bit of writing. And then on Friday, you've got a bit of a crazy day where we'll kind of see what the fallout is or will continue to be from scenes 3 and 4. And just when Blanche starts to win you over, Tennessee Williams is going to he's going to pull the rug out from under you towards the end of scene 5. But then he'll try and win you back over again a little bit later. So much good stuff to get to. Keep up the great work. You've got this week, next week, and then I'll be back. And I'm so excited to get caught up on the first few scenes. And that way we can go ahead and wrap up the play together. Thank you again for all your hard work. Keep it up. I hope you're loving the play. I hope that you are grappling with some really, really tough characters. I hope that you are loving the play, but having all of the feels about all of these characters. And that will continue to happen, I promise you. Have a great week, folks.